Looks like it's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Kevin Treadway. I'm the chief of the Flagstaff Police Department. And I'd like to start by making some introductions of some folks that are here with me this evening. Starting here on my far right is Kevin Burke. Kevin is the city manager for the city of Flagstaff. Next to him is Vince Figarelli, and Vince is the superintendent of the DPS crime lab for the state of Arizona. Next, I have Mayor Neighbors. Mayor Neighbors is with the, obviously the mayor of the city of Flagstaff. Commander Rex Gilliland sits to my left, and then Detective Ryan Beckman with the Flagstaff Police Department Criminal Investigations Division. Deputy Chief Miller with the Flagstaff Police Department, and Deputy Chief Dan Musselman with the Flagstaff Police Department. Once again, thank you very much for being here. As many of you know, the Flagstaff Police Department has been investigating a series of sexual assault cases. Our first incident occurred on January 18th of 2013 when a young adult female was picked up in the downtown area here in Flagstaff in the early morning hours by a Native American male suspect who drove her to an isolated area near J.W. Powell Boulevard in Lone Tree. The suspect violently, physically, and sexually assaulted this victim. Although the victim was unable to describe the suspect vehicle, a uniformed Flagstaff police officer in a marked car drove past this area while transporting an arrested person near the time of this assault. This officer, Kelly Ingram, recalls seeing a white-colored pickup parked in the area. Officer Ingram paused to shine her spotlight at the truck, but could see no one inside or near the vehicle. Initially, it was unknown if this truck was related to the assault or not. However, Officer Ingram was careful to document her observation. Our detectives have been actively investigating this case since it occurred. On July 13th of 2013, a second incident occurred where one female and two males met a Native American male suspect who provided them a ride from the downtown area in the early morning hours. The three victims in this case were driven to a motel room that they had previously acquired located on Woodlands Village in Flagstaff. Once they arrived, the three victims offered to allow the suspect to stay at the motel with them. Later that night, the suspect was involved in a physical confrontation with the two male victims, and the males left the motel. The male suspect then attempted to sexually assault the female victim, who remained behind in the motel room. During this incident, the suspect bit the female victim. A swab was obtained of the bite mark, and we were advised yesterday evening that the forensic evidence indicates that the suspect in this case is the same suspect involved in the January 18th incident. According to the victims in this case, the suspect was reportedly driving an unknown make and model, small-sized white pickup on the night of this incident. On July 21st, 2013, a young adult female was walking from the downtown area in Flagstaff when she was approached by a Native American male suspect near Humphreys and Route 66. The suspect asked the female if she could provide directions to Thorpe Park. The female was walking that direction and proceeded to walk approximately 5 blocks with the suspect. Once in the area of her home, the suspect and the victim parted. A short time later, the suspect reapproached the victim and asked to borrow her cell phone. As she was attempting to locate her phone, the victim was violently and physically assaulted and sexually assaulted. Forensic evidence collected during this investigation indicates that the suspect is the same one involved in the January 18th and July 13th incidents. On August 8th, 2013, a young adult female reported that she was walking in the downtown area late at night and was followed by a Native American male. This victim reports that the male suspect began chasing her in the area of Cherry Avenue and Humphrey Street in Flagstaff. The victim states that in the area of Cherry and Kendrick, she was thrown to the ground and physically and sexually assaulted. While the description of the suspect and the method of the attack matched the assaults on January 18th and July 21st, there was no forensic evidence located in this particular attack to allow us to say conclusively that this suspect is the same. Obviously, we are continuing our investigation into this incident to determine if it is linked to the others. Since the July 21st incident, the Flagstaff Police Department, assisted by several other law enforcement agencies, has significantly increased our presence both in uniform and in an undercover capacity in the downtown area. On Friday, August 9th, 2013, an undercover female Flagstaff police officer, two of them, one Jolene Coulee and the other Callie Van Oudegem, became aware of a male subject matching the description in our sexual assault cases who appeared to be very suspicious. The subject spent a long time in one downtown bar without ordering and was then later seen peering into the window of a second bar while standing outside. Officer Van Oudegem, again working undercover and as a decoy, walked past this subject and said hi. The subject immediately began walking with her, proceeding northbound on LaRue. The subject eventually asked her to sit with him in an unlit area and asked her several times if she would like a ride out of the downtown area. At one point, this subject touched Officer Van Oudegem by running his hand under the back of her shirt and down her lower back and waistline. He also grabbed her in a bear hug on multiple occasions and attempted on several occasions to kiss her. The subject also threw Officer Van Oudegem over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. Officer Van Oudegem was able to escape the subject's embrace, and as she continued walking with the individual, noted that the subject was driving a white-colored Toyota pickup, and she was able to obtain the license plate of the vehicle. This subject was later seen to be following Officer Van Oudegem in his vehicle after they parted. Our officers were able to later locate this subject and his vehicle at his apartment located on Kofa here in Flagstaff. It should be noted that the subject's address is located close to the area of the first assault that occurred in January. Officers immediately began close surveillance on this individual, and he was later contacted by a detective and interviewed. During that interview, the subject was identified as Gregory Woody Jr., age 22. Woody gave consent for the detective to take his buccal swab. Surveillance was maintained on Woody for the last several days as detectives continued their investigation. On August 15, 2013, detectives received confirmation from the DPS crime lab that the buccal swab taken from Woody matched the DNA located in the January 18th, July 13th, and July 21st assaults. Our detectives immediately obtained an arrest warrant for Woody and wrote search warrants for Woody's residence and vehicle. Woody was taken into custody earlier today on August 15, 2013 at approximately 1:45 p.m. The investigation into this case will continue for several weeks to come. We will work closely with the competent prosecutors at the Coconino County Attorney's Office in preparing this case for charging. We are also in contact with investigators in Colorado and Montana to compare our investigation with similar incidents that have occurred there. We will continue to offer our support to the survivors of these violent crimes. I would also like to commend at this time the hard work and dedication of the Flagstaff Police Department patrol officers and detectives who have worked this case tirelessly over the past several weeks. The Flagstaff Police Department would also like to thank our law enforcement partners who assisted us in this investigation and in ensuring that the safety of our citizens was in place while this suspect was at large. Specifically, I would like to thank Sheriff Bill Pribble and the Coconino County Sheriff's Office, Chief G.T. Fowler and the NAU Police Department, Chief Jerry Monahan and the Prescott Police Department, as well as the Department of Public Safety. I would also like to thank the Homeland Security Investigations Department, the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center, the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, the FBI, and the Phoenix Police Department for their assistance. We also thank our victim advocates and our sex assault nurses who have worked closely with our victims in this investigation. Let me also thank the Flagstaff citizens and business owners for their support and their assistance in that was provided to us during this investigation. Perhaps most importantly, I would like to thank the Department of Public Safety Crime Lab, who had several technicians and analysts involved in aggressively processing a large volume of evidence that was submitted to them in recent days and weeks. Without their diligence and assistance, we would not have been successful in identifying this suspect. We have copies of this press release that's available to anyone that is interested. But at this time, I would like to reintroduce Mayor Jerry Neighbors of the City of Flagstaff, who would also like to make a few statements. Mayor Neighbors.
Thank you. A serial predator such as has been happening in this case is highly unusual in Flagstaff, and it was a considerable concern to me and the City Council. We let the police department know that this was a top priority and to absolutely spare no expense, and whatever it took, overtime or otherwise, the police department had our full support. I am extremely proud of our police department for the fine job that has been done here. I am glad that we got this apparently resolved before the NAU's classes resume and a lot more younger people come to town. That is a great relief for the NAU campus and certainly for our citizens. And again, speaking for the council, we are very, very proud of our police department, and we also thank the other agencies involved for their help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Neighbors. The Flagstaff Police Department is certainly indebted to the City Council and the Mayor, as well as the City Manager's Office, for their support in this investigation. At this time, I'd like to open it up for any additional questions that any of you may have.
Have photos of what was his name, Woody? Have they been shown to the victim from last week, and have he been positively identified as the assailant also?
Yeah, that will be part of a subsequent investigation, I'm sure. But so far to date, no. All of our victims have been notified of this arrest, but a photo lineup has not been compiled at this time.
Chief, what are the charges? I understand he's been booked in jail. What are the charges, and when's the initial appearance going to be?
So we obtained an arrest warrant for his arrest earlier today, and so there is a $100,000 bond that's been placed on Mr. Woody, and the initial charge is 1 count of sexual assault. However, I am certain prior to formal charging that there will be additional charges added.
Will charges be filed on the assault against your officer?
We'll take that into consideration in consultation with the county attorney's office to determine whether or not there's elements for additional charges regarding his actions toward Officer Van Oden.
Chief, can you refresh for me again when you found out about or confirmed that the July 13th incident was related?
Right, so we obviously, as a part of this investigation, we started looking at previous incidents that might in any way be related. In the July 13th occurrence, and again, that's the occurrence in the motel room after the ride home, there were some differences that we saw there. It wasn't a single female that had been contacted. There were multiple adults involved. So obviously we weren't sure that could be related, but submitted it to the crime lab, and it was yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, that we got confirmation that DNA matched.
You called in a number of agencies, obviously, to assist. So many people helped. Is that typical? And can you describe the efforts that went into the investigation and why so much went into it, the importance thereof?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say that we are really blessed up here. The law enforcement community here in Flagstaff and the surrounding area works very, very closely together. It's not uncommon for our agency to partner with the Coconino County Sheriff's Office and DPS and other law enforcement agencies in the area to accomplish our mission. In this particular case, there were really two objectives. The ongoing investigation to identify a suspect, of course, was one objective, and then to make sure that we try to prevent any other victims from occurring, any victimization from occurring. So we're utilizing partnering agencies to accomplish both of those objectives. So there was a detective, for instance, from the Coconino County Sheriff's Office that was assigned directly to our task force that would work during the day alongside Flagstaff Police Department detectives, following up on viewing surveillance tape, for instance, from businesses that we obtained, or passing out flyers, or looking at receipts from bars that individuals have been in. And then the second objective, trying to keep folks safe, we had an increased uniform presence in the downtown area for the last several weeks, as well as a number of officers that were working in an undercover capacity, just like I described with Officer Van Oudegem. We had female officers that were playing the part of decoys in the downtown area, and then we had undercover officers that were assisting them, providing cover for those female officers to ensure their safety, but also calling in other suspicious individuals in the downtown area. We also reached out to the Phoenix Police Department as well as the Department of Homeland Security to obtain additional surveillance cameras to be placed in the downtown area, so that in the event we did have another incident, hopefully we would have some videotape evidence associated with that. So as you had indicated, there was a lot of effort, and we're just indebted to our partners. They really significantly, I think, assisted us in not only solving the case, but in allowing our citizens to feel more comfortable and help protect those citizens in the downtown area.
But these type of things do not happen every day in Flagstaff, we're grateful to say. So this has been a tremendous scare for many people in the community. Can you talk about that?
Sure, yeah, fortunately, and you're right, fortunately, stranger-on-stranger sexual assaults are something that's pretty rare in Flagstaff. And our citizens should be concerned. Their police department certainly was very concerned. And so it is something that we take extremely serious, and just didn't hold back in putting forth the effort that was necessary to bring this individual to justice.
Can you tell us more about the suspect? Is he from Flagstaff? Do you know what his story is?
His interview was just conducted, and I have not been briefed on that interview. I can tell you he has been residing in Flagstaff, we know, for at least the past 6 months or so, about the time of the January incident. I'm not sure how long he's been in Flagstaff prior to that, but that's certainly information we will be exploring.
And what about any priors that you can tell? Does he have any arrest records that you can tell us about?
I have to be careful about criminal or history information. I can tell you that not much in the way of contact with our agency. I believe there was an incident involving a DUI investigation back in February, but very little other than that.
Did he make any statements at the time of arrest, admitting guilt in any way? Or?
Yeah, I have not been briefed on that interview. There was a very lengthy interview that was done, like I said, just this afternoon, and he's literally in the process of being booked as we speak. So,
describe again how you finally connected him this afternoon and got the car and went to the house and pieced it together.
Well, once again, we have for the last several days since Friday night really been keeping a very close eye on this individual. The suspicious activity that's described in the press release is, certainly a red flag. So it was the buccal swab results that was received from the DPS crime lab, indicating that his DNA matched those previous incidents that provided the probable cause to seek the arrest warrant and go out and make the arrest.
Chief, with regard to the August 8th incident, if it turns out that the woman attacked in that case doesn't ID this gentleman, or there is no other evidence that links him to this her case, what's the plan from there?
Well, we will uncover every stone there. Will not stop until we have all of the evidence possible in trying to make that case for that survivor. So we'll have to keep working with that victim and see where that leads us.
Chief, I'm sorry, Joffrey, can we just please start from the beginning and just kind of give me just the quick nutshell,
Sure. And
what's happened?
I read a very lengthy press release.
Oh, let's not do that. Sorry.
I do have a copy for you. and
That
I'll
would be
just-
great.
I'll try to synopsize or answer questions.
Yeah, just a synopsis would be fantastic.
Okay, so,
Who do you have in custody? Do you have a name?
yes, we do. We have arrested an individual, a 22-year-old male by the name of Gregory Woody Jr. Once again, as you know, we have been investigating a number of sexual assaults here in the Flagstaff community for many weeks.